bought this standard modern lathe with the intent of I'm going to restore it. So anyways, this is the lathe. We'll do a walk around and start. It's a standard modern 10-inch from the probably the 60s, maybe the 70s. It's got it's an imperial lathe that's been done over for metric, so it's got an imperial screw pitch selector here, but it's got gears in here to convert it to metric, and it's got a metric cross feed, metric compound slab. So anyways, my plan is to tear it down and restore it. So what I'll do is I'll videotape my progress all the way along, and hopefully we'll have a cohesive set of videos when I'm done. I've taken off the cover for the mag switch just to try to get the motor going, and what I'll do is I'll clean it up as best I can with the eye towards a partial restoration, if not a full restoration. Strip off all the ugly old paint that's on it here, and do what's necessary to bring this back to at least a functioning unit, if not a restored unit. I've not been able to find a manual for this particular lathe. I think what I'll do is I'll take a lot of pictures along the way and come up with kind of a reassembly manual, if you will. I'll need the pictures anyways to help me put it back together. So my plan is to do that and hopefully have some fun. It's really an imperial lathe. It's got 10 threads per inch on the lead screw, and if you take a look at the selector here, it's still in inches. However, the longitudinal feed is in millimeters, so it's kind of a transition period piece, I think. The other lathe that I have like this is pretty much the same one. This one is in inches, and it also is a little funny actually. It's got millimeter feeds for the cross and the compound. The tailstock is in inches. Anyways, it's a good little lathe. I wanted one that cuts cuts metric threads, so I purchased this one here with the intent of getting up to that. Even though this lathe looks rougher, and it is older than this one, but probably by not too much, this one's in rougher shape. This one I bought quote unquote refurbished, but really all they did was throw some paint on it. They didn't even clean it off very well. At the back, when I took the motor off, you'll find that there was painted over swarf. You know, it was a little more together than it is right now. I undid the magnetic switch so I could access to the motor, and I drove it with my VFD over here just to drive it over and make sure everything works. And also I filled it with I drained the gearboxes with the sludge that was in there, and I put in some 30 weight detergent oil, just temporary, and I ran it for a couple hours to churn everything up, and then I drained it. Once I'm done with the restoration, I'll fill it again with regular non-detergent 30 weight oil, or SAE 30 oil, I believe it's called. Anyways, I don't have any presently. The last of it I filled up the other lathe with it. So anyways, let's do a quick walk around here, and I'm going to start taking it apart. Okay, so first of all, obviously the speed selector here is broken. There's a pin, you pull it out, you move it over and you shove it down, so that's missing. So I'm going to have to weld that up, then shape it and drill it out again and put excuse me, you put I think it's a 1/4-inch dowel in there, whatever it is. Anyways, it'll be done to fit the diameter of the detent holes. So that's got to be done. It all seems to work. You have your high and low range here, and then within the high and low, you have 3 different speeds. So, you know, and you also have 2 sets of high and low, because you can change the belt on the inside here for either higher or lower RPMs. I don't know if you can see very well, but here it is. Where this differs from the other lathe that I have is to get the metric pitches. They have a set of change gears here. They're in 24 diametral pitch as opposed to 16 for the larger ones. So what they did is, there's used to be an 80. This is an idler gear. It used to be 80 teeth, I believe, and it meshed onto a 48, which is down here. So what they did is they replaced that with a 68, and you have a 48, 2 48s here on the inside, and then of course they're tied to these change gears. One's 127 and the other is 80. However, there's supposed to be another 4 gears, I believe, to give you a full range of metric threads. The 80 that's on there provides me with nearly everything. I don't know if you can see it here or not, but here is the list of threads that can be achieved by changing the change gears. Anyways, I have the 80, so that'll give me nearly everything. The only other one I think I'll need is 62, practically speaking, and that'll give me all the common metric threads. So, as you can see, it's kind of a hideous green. It was painted over, possibly from the people I bought it from. I don't know. I think it was a school lathe originally, which is why these were painted red. I think that, you know, was to tell the students, okay, you got oil here, and they would walk around and, you know, do all the red ones they found. It's banged up a little bit. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's been hit quite a few times with the chuck. But the bedways are in fairly good condition. Like I said, it's not as good as the other one I have, which also came from a high school. I know it came from a high school. It came actually from a high school in Halliburton. So the guy I bought it from, he actually used it when he was in high school. He bought it, and he was going to use it for a specific chore, which didn't work out, so he sold it. I think actually he had problems with the motor. It had a 3-phase motor on it. He replaced it with a single phase, but he didn't have it wired correctly. I think he was trying to have it reversing, but he didn't have everything wired. So I fiddled around with the wiring and I got it going, and I've been using it ever since. It was, you know, much dirtier than it is now, even though it doesn't maybe look all that clean. But I cleaned it up, and it really didn't take anything other than the cleaning. And, you know, I changed the oil, and away it went. Of course, I had to rewire it, but, you know, that wasn't all that difficult. I had to learn about mag starters, but once I got that under control and, you know, made a little diagram for it, it all made sense. This one, back to this one here, it's missing a knob. I temporarily threaded a piece of, well, a golf ball on there. It actually does pretty good, and what this is the threading lever that engages the lead screw. In order to use that, you have to pull this out to make sure you don't engage both the lead screw and the drive for the longitudinal or compound slides. So anyways, that works by engaging like that, and then the rest of the time, of course, you use the regular feed, which is engaged with this right here. And when it's out like this, it you know, goes across the bed, and when it's pushed in, I don't know if I can do this with one hand here or not. Yeah, there we go. When it's pushed in like that, then you have a longitudinal feed in either direction. So there you have it. It has a mag starter and a reversing switch, which is the reason I picked this over another one. I don't think this is stock. It's not the same as the other one over here in any event, and I know this one is correct. So actually when I bought this, it came with a bunch of other equipment, including more than enough dogs and dry plates, so I'll use it for this one. Like I said, there's the motor that was on there. I used it to drive it initially, but I think it's full of crud. So I'm going to be rebuilding that. I'm going to take it apart, clean it. The bearings actually feel pretty good, so I'll take it apart anyways, and probably since I have it apart, I'll replace the bearings. Of course, it needs to be cleaned first of all, and then we'll take it from there. The other thing I found different when I got to here is this one has a clutch-driven pulley off the motor, whereas the other one there is just a standard drive with no clutch in it. So I don't know if that I don't know why that is. I don't think it makes much difference one way or another. It was a little problematic when I first turned it on. The motor was running and it wasn't running. I have the VFD spool up slowly, so it was running and yet it wasn't driving, and I was a little worried. But then when I discovered that, it was okay. Anyways, as you can see, it's got a lot of paint on it that's been painted over at least twice, because it's actually kind of a gray color like this one over here, but it's presently green, and at one point it looked like it was a different kind of blue-green color. So it's got at least 2 coats of paint on it, which need to be addressed. Everything works on it. Everything is okay. I do notice, actually just walking around, that I'm missing one little piece here for a felt wiper. So I'll have to make something for that. That's not that big of a deal. I ran through the gears. They all work. The high, medium, and low work. Because it has the transpositioning gears in it, the feed and reverse are actually opposite to what they're indicated here. But once you get used to that, I guess it's not that big of a deal. And if that's the only one you had, you might think that that's the way it's supposed to be anyways. I just happen to notice opposite to the other one that I have here. So what I'm going to do is I'll set up a video camera, and I'll start tearing this down, and at least you guys will know what you're getting into if you get one of these and decide to do the same thing. Talk to you later.